Steve, we got to talk a little USC recruiting. I didn't when I jotted down this segment, the Trojans were up by 2 scores. They go on the road to Maryland and lose. I mean, USC really can't afford this type of loss. It hurts, but we're going to talk a little recruiting because the two are going in opposite directions. I mean,
well, the first half of the season, you look at USC, they go 3-3. They lose 3 one-possession games, just a gut-wrenching loss on the road to Minnesota at night. Certainly the loss to Michigan. You start the second half of the season, you looked at it coming in and you're like, look, these are 6 winnable games with a chance to beat Notre Dame in the finale, not to get ahead of yourself. And they blow a lead at Maryland. It's much of the same. I don't know who's feeling worse right now, USC, Auburn, or Florida State. I mean, USC's right there in the mix. Now, Auburn and USC have great recruiting classes, and they have a lot of promising prospects still out there. Florida State, not so much. So USC certainly in better standing there, but they got to find a way to get some wins here because
yeah, no, I agree. So here's the thing. It's you got 2 different stories, right? You got the story that's happening on the field where USC is obviously heading in a disappointing direction this season. But off the field in recruiting, I mean, they lost on Sunday and they flipped safety Stephen Miller from Mississippi State. Then on Thursday, massive offensive lineman out of the state of Utah, Aaron Dunn, decommits from Utah, and a day later on Friday, just yesterday, commits to USC. So why are we seeing like 2 different directions in recruiting versus on the field? And at some point, do you think what's happening on the field could catch up to them on the recruiting trail?
Well, it's hard to say that that's not possible, but I think people that are talking to USC believe in the track record more than the season. So Lincoln Riley's track record of offense, Coach Deonta Lynn, Coach Henderson, Coach Entz, Coach Belk, and their track record of defense. And so they still have great resumes to point towards, but, you know, each of these losses is excruciating. And I think we feel like every week they're going to get back on track. I mean, I guess I can't speak for you, but I thought they'd go to Maryland and get a dub and start getting it rolling in the second half. And now they got 5 winnable games left with a chance to beat Notre Dame in the finale. But each time they lose one of these close games to teams that I don't think are as talented as them, it's kind of brutal.
Yeah, it hurts. And right now, sitting at the number 10 ranked class in America, still very good. And it could finish very good, but
a lot of promising players out there that are high on USC.
Yeah, but if you're going to jump at Texas A&M, if you're going to jump at Tennessee, Oregon, in the end, you got to win these games.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But despite the loss today, USC is still hot on the recruiting trail. A top 10 class. It looks more and more like Julian Lewis. Julian Lewis did not take a visit to Indiana. You know, the Indiana staff was really working hard to try to get him to that Nebraska game, and for good reason. But, you know, Julian Lewis doesn't show. So at this point, there's no reason to believe that he is going to go anywhere but USC right now until he shows up at some. What's that?
Talking to a source down in Georgia, I think Julian Lewis got home really late from his game on Friday, is what I was told. You know, I don't know, man. He coming out of his visit to USC, there's a lot of confidence that he'll stick, but he's still taking visits. Colorado gets a win. He's word is he'll be in Boulder next weekend. So we'll see if he's out there in Boulder. Then Indiana, the Nebraska game was new. The Indiana-Michigan game has kind of always been on the radar for him to get back to Indiana for a third time this year. And then I think there's always been some dialogue here, some dialogue there with some programs we don't really even talk about. So, we'll see what happens with Julian Lewis and USC.
All right. Well, despite the loss today, USC still fighting on the recruiting trail. They have a top 10 class.
Great class.
Yeah, really
great best receiver class. Great receiver class. One of the top most coveted. Their top quarterback in the country is committed. A bunch of difference makers on defense. 4 losses by 1 score.
Yeah, and they just added a massive offensive lineman that decommitted from Utah on Thursday. Aaron Dunn commits to USC on Friday. So the pieces are there. I mean, 23 total commitments. And so far, they haven't lost anybody due to their play on the field. They've only added. So we'll see if this trend continues. Trojan fans, I know you're disappointed with the product on the field, but how are you feeling about recruiting? Is this a class with instant impact players? Let me know. Comment section below. And also, who do you want to see USC finish with on the recruiting trail? Let me know. Comment section below.